It's a pleasure for me to introduce our final speaker, who will be presenting on travel and myeloma, a topic we hear brought up again and again at our support groups and on our telephone support line. Jo joined Myeloma Australia in 2008 and is a senior specialist myeloma nurse. She has worked and volunteered for Myeloma Australia for over 12 years. Jo has over 30 years of experience in a range of haematology nursing roles, from clinical and coordination to research. Based in Adelaide, Jo also works for Cancer Council Services at Royal Adelaide Hospital as a myeloma research nurse. Jo is a mum to 3 adult children, loves the family shack on the water, enjoys gardening, bushwalking and camping, and she also enjoys being creative through drawing and painting. Welcome, Jo.
Thank you, Emma. It's lovely to be here this morning, and I'd love to thank our previous 2 speakers who have given us that bread and butter overview of myeloma. I'd just like to change tack now. We have a focus of well-being for our seminars this month, or for 2022, and I think to go travelling is something that focusing on is going to give us the opportunity to look at what is our potential and opportunity to achieve. So today I'd like to look at things we should be considering when we're planning travel, in particular what's related to myeloma. I'm just trying to find the clicker for changing the slides. Just not sure how that's going to work. So there are some various things we need to consider, and that's what I'm going to run through. I can't see the clicker for how to change these slides. Oh, thank you. So planning a holiday will involve more thought and consideration to take into account what you can and can't do with the myeloma diagnosis, but it won't stop you from being able to travel, especially now we're able to open up and travel more after the pandemic. So next slide, please. When you're planning a holiday, it's really important to discuss the travel plans with your doctor before you start to make any bookings, to ensure that the plans you're making are appropriate for your myeloma situation at that time. You can discuss that with your doctor, and then once you've got something that's approved, you know how long you're going to be away for, you can ask your doctor to write enough scripts that cover your regular medications for the whole trip, but also to add some extra in case of delays or loss of tablets or medication. And just to this point, the common oral medications for myeloma, thalidomide, lenalidomide, and pomalidomide, have recently been made available on a 3-month supply for men and women of non-childbearing age. So 3 months may be available to you if your haematologist feels that your myeloma is stable enough for you to be away for an extended period of time. Other things you'll need to discuss regarding medications are a range of supportive care and things like antibiotics in case you get an infection. So scripts can be written and filled for you to take those with you. Next slide, please. So also discussing with your treating team, you'll need to request a letter with a brief history of your myeloma, when it was diagnosed, what treatment you've had, and what the responses have been, including what your current situation is. And that will be helpful if you need to get medical attention whilst you're away. And this letter should include contact details for your treating team, especially your haematologist, by phone and email. It'll be important for any doctor overseas to be able to discuss with your haematologist any further queries or questions they may have. Also, when you're planning your itinerary, it's a really good idea to have contacts for myeloma specialists who are at destinations that you're traveling to, especially if you're going to be there for any length of time. You'll also need to discuss what vaccines you can have that are appropriate for your destination, and what are appropriate for you to have. So some of them are live vaccines and are not appropriate for immunosuppressed people to have. So you'll have to discuss that with your doctor. Also, make sure that your COVID vaccinations and your current flu vaccination are up to date before you travel. Some insurance companies will require a letter from your haematologist to make sure that you are fit, or to state that you are fit to travel. So that's another document to request. Next slide, please. So looking at international travel, that'll be the main focus of the rest of this talk. Next slide, please. There are 11 countries that have reciprocal healthcare agreements with Australia, and they tie into our Medicare program. But each have their own conditions to meet. This can be researched on the Services Australia website, and they'll have the current listing of countries that are available under this scheme. So that means that travel insurance may not be required. Travel insurance for your myeloma may not be required in those countries. And also, if you're just traveling within Australia, domestic travel medical expenses are usually covered by your private health insurance and Medicare. So claims of private insurance are made first, and then Medicare cover the gap. So check with your private health insurance company, if you have it, exactly what they'll cover for you while you're away. Also discuss with your treating team how stable your myeloma is. Because if your myeloma is well controlled and your holiday is only for a few weeks, your risk and insurance requirements myeloma can be excluded under cheaper travel insurance policies, but they'll still cover unforeseen health issues. Next slide, please. So looking at travel insurance for pre-existing medical conditions, and this is where myeloma sits. It needs its own separate declaration and cover. Now, under Australian law, insurance contact regulations define pre-existing medical conditions as those that exist 6 months before the contract was entered into and continues after that contract was signed. But unfortunately, insurers do get around this 6-month rule by specifying in their product disclosure statements exclusion or limitation around this point. So you might find that insurers generally will cover a condition if it hadn't led to treatment out to 2 years before you book your trip. And in other examples have specified 5 years or longer. So there is a great variation between what insurance companies offer, and you need to explore your different options. On the Choice website, it is a paid website, but you can pay just to explore the travel insurance guidelines, and it's something that the Australian government travel website would recommend for you to consider. Next slide, please. So give yourself enough time to not only plan, but to research. Apply for your travel insurance at least a month before you leave to find the best cover for you. Choice recommend getting at least 3 quotes because the responses from companies can vary considerably. So you must declare your existing medical condition or conditions, myeloma being one of them, and there are listed on their websites specifically what those conditions are, and you may have more than one. And then you need to answer an extra set of questions. Now, all companies provide an online questionnaire for you to do this, but people I've spoken to who've undergone this process actually find it's easier to ring and speak personally to a consultant who can help walk you through the form and the process and what type of answers are required. Just remember, if you're diagnosed with smoldering myeloma, emphasize that this has no symptoms, as we've heard in the previous talks, and no treatment. So therefore, it should not be considered a risk factor under this existing medical conditions. If your myeloma is less stable or you're planning to travel more than once a year, you can take out an annual insurance policy but upfront it'll be more expensive, but it might be more economical for you in the long run. Next slide, please. Sorry, I need the next slide now, thanks. Before you book online, it's a good idea to call that individual insurer and discuss how the policy works for your situation. And more recommendations from Choice is that if the online quote is out of your price range, just let them know that and explain. You might find that they are able to offer cover for you at a cheaper price. If not, Choice recommends or suggests declining the offer and that they may come back to you later with a better offer. And there are some testimonials to this on their website. It is recommended that if you have at least one travelling companion, should be insured on the same policy so that someone can accompany you home should you become unwell and covered under the same conditions that you've taken the insurance out. Next slide, please. If you're travelling with a wheelchair or mobility aid or other expensive medical equipment, you'll need to insure that as well. Apparently, in the fine print, many insurance companies don't cover hearing aids because they're so easily lost, and that you have to cover them as a separate policy as well. So just be aware of that. If you're unable to get cover for your pre-existing medical condition or the cost is prohibitive, as said before, you can still purchase a travel insurance policy. It just won't cover your myeloma. And interestingly, the Smart Traveller, which is the Australian government website research, has found that greater than 2 out of 3 people actually do travel without having insurance cover for their pre-existing medical conditions. Next slide, please. So now we're just going to look at some practical considerations about you, your myeloma, and your travel. Before you travel, check the government Smart Traveller website for travel advice, alerts, and warnings for your destinations on your itinerary. Subscribe to the Smart Traveller for updates about those destinations, and this will also register your travel plans with the Australian government. And download the Before You Go checklist to make sure that you have everything done prior to departure. Also, there's a area there where you can check restrictions on bringing certain drugs into your destination countries. You may need a letter of authorization for those drugs or equipment that you need to deliver them, such as syringes and needles. Next slide, please. Now, while you're away, carry your important documentations, your medical letters, and enough medicines equipment for a few days in your hand luggage. Because if your main luggage is lost or delayed, this will allow you a bit of wriggle room while you make alternate plans. Keep your medicines in their original packaging. Don't just download them put them into bottles or other containers for ease of packing, because they'll be confiscated at border checks. They must be labelled with their original labels from the pharmacy. And keep a list of all the medications that you're taking. It will help you if you need replacements. It'll also help you if you're seeking medical assistance while you're away. Take a thermometer and monitor your temperature if you're unwell. Use hand sanitizer and wipes regularly and wear a mask in public areas. We've all had plenty of practice with this during the COVID pandemic. So these are precautions that should be continued while you're travelling. We also recommend that you eat freshly prepared meals and avoid food from a buffet or a smorgasbord. These can be a source of infection for people who are immunocompromised, and even some of us who aren't. And please keep your medical receipts for your expenses so you can claim when you return from your holiday. Next slide. Thanks. There are some considerations to think about for flying. Will you be travelling alone or with a companion? Will you need assistance navigating through the airport or assistance with your baggage and boarding the aircraft? Will you be able to use the toilet on the plane or be able to hear or read the safety briefings and instructions from staff? Now, some airlines do have Braille version and large print version of their safety leaflets available. You'll need to request those. Next slide, thanks. So to address some of these points, under the Disability Access guidelines from the Australian government, airlines and airports have a responsibility to provide services for people with disability. Trained staff should be able to assist with getting around the airport, handling baggage, getting on and off the plane, and delivering safety briefings in a way that all passengers can understand. Opening packages and identifying food that's served on board the plane, and getting to and from the plane toilet. Now, they're notoriously small and cramped. If you feel that you may not be able to manage in the space that's provided, some airlines provide a privacy curtain that can be put up for you so that the door can be left open and you have a little bit more room to manoeuvre. There are certain things that under these regulations that the staff are not expected to assist you with, such as feeding, administering your medication, or actually using the toilet, or lifting a passenger and helping physically with their movement. So these are all things that you're entitled to request assistance with. Next slide, please. So some final thoughts I'd like to leave you with about the prospect of travelling. Now, you've worked really hard during your treatment to regain control of the myeloma and maximise your quality of life. So now's the time to do the things that you love to do. So whilst things have changed for you, there is your new normal, and travel is generally feasible. Embrace what you still love to do, including travel. Now, post-COVID, the world is opening up, but you may want advice on that. So please discuss that with your haematologist. Planning well is the key. It's an absolute key for an enjoyable and successful trip, and you'll never know where you'll end up traveling to. Next slide, please. This was taken pre-COVID, but who knows what's on the horizon. Next slide, please. So this ties in beautifully with our Joyful Moments campaign that you saw the video of earlier and that Hayley mentioned right up front at the start of today. Myeloma Australia wants to celebrate what makes you, you. We want to hear about all your hobbies and interests, and that includes your travel. We'd love you to send a photo or a video of you doing that thing that makes you feel joyful, or your travel photos, whether that's recently or still ahead of you. We'd like you to complete that sentence. I'm a 38 mate and I love, or I care for a 38 mate and I love, and email that with your photos and videos to us at 38mate@myeloma. And we'll share your photos and videos as part of our focus on this month's myeloma awareness of wellbeing and possibility. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that's given you some inspiration to go travelling. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Jo. It's really exciting that we can start to think about travel as a possibility again. We have one question, or a couple of questions actually. First question is from Nicole. Is it possible to travel to Africa with yellow fever? Do you lose all vaccination protection after a stem cell transplant?
So off the top of my head, I'm not sure if yellow fever is a live vaccine or not. This is a specific question for your hematologist. But as far as the stem cell transplant goes, yes, you lose your vaccination memory. And that's why 6 months post-transplant, there's a full vaccination schedule that patients undergo to reinvigorate the memory of the common vaccines. But like all travellers to countries with high-risk diseases, you would need to have specific vaccinations and seek guidance from your hematologist on that.
Thanks, Jo. Second question is from Stephen. Can you please advise about safety on a plane? I've had a stem cell transplant 30 days ago and am flying in about 60 days. Masks worn on a plane. Any other suggestion for immunocompromised individuals on planes?
Well, all airlines still require you to wear masks. You may want to think about, if it's domestic travel, an upgrade to the front of the plane where there's a little bit more room. Obviously, that's a bigger cost if you're traveling overseas. Just make sure that you have a good fitting mask, an N95, that your vaccines are all up to date, that your COVID vaccines are up to date. Speak with your hematologist about what you should do if you're away and you suspect that you might have COVID. If you're in Australia, there are preventative or antiviral medications that can be given. You'll just need to know where you can access those in your destination. Overseas, this is an evolving area for us and we're learning as well. So you'll have to investigate that in the countries of your destination. So your travel agent might have more specific information about what's required in where the country that you're traveling to.
Yeah, COVID definitely adds that extra layer of planning and thought when we're traveling now. Well, thank you so much again, Jo, for joining us today. And as I said, very exciting to think about travel again after the last couple of years of lockdowns and the pandemic.